Welcome to the Holistic Health Show, where the worlds of science and spirituality converge to illuminate a path towards total well-being. Join us as we embark on a journey to bridge the gap between Western medicine and complementary therapies. Hello, welcome back to the Holistic Health Show. Today on the podcast, we're talking to Kate Boyle, who is a Pilates studio director and nutritionist. And today our topic is how to make movement and health easy and accessible for everyone. And we're going to discover how we can take back our health just 15 minutes at a time. Thank you, Kate, for joining us today. I'd love it if you would jump right in and tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why you do it.
No worries. Well, thanks for having me on the show, Amy. I'm always excited to jump on and talk about health and movement. But my name's Kate Boyle. I am a Pilates instructor and nutritionist from Melbourne, Australia. So I have a in-person Pilates studio, which I've had for 15 years. And I also have an online platform which has Pilates workouts, recipes, women's health masterclasses. So I do a bit of both in-person and online work. I'm also married with two girls, and I love spending my time, getting outside in nature and doing Pilates when I can.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I've recently taken up Pilates, and while I really enjoy it, I also find it really, really challenging.
Yeah, you can definitely, there's multi layers in Pilates. So, whether or not you're just doing the movements or you're connecting to your breath or really focusing in on pelvic floor and your transverse abdominis, which is your deepest abdominal layer. So, I work with people in the studio where we will do individual programs. So, I will have clients from, I think my youngest at the minute is about 12, and my eldest is 86. So, a range of people, but it can be super challenging depending on what you're working on. And I think that's almost like one of the myths of Pilates. Everybody thinks it's going to be a bit of huffing and puffing and stretching. But when you're focusing on the movement, you're getting that mind body connection, you're really focusing on your form, it can be a really challenging workout.
And what I really have enjoyed about Pilates myself is that it can be tailored to be quite individualized so that you're working at your pace.
Yeah. And, exactly, where you are now, whether or not you're postpartum and probably focusing more on, pelvic floor and transverse and stability. Or, I've got older clients that have maybe had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, or a couple of my younger students, elite level dancers. So we're really trying to hone in on their turnout and their balance and their overall, strength for doing flips and things like that. So that's one of the beauties about Pilates. It doesn't matter how strong you are, how much fitness you've been doing recently, where you are, or how old you are. There's always something you can do, and we really can tailor it and meet you where you're at.
And I guess that's a part of making it kind of easy and accessible is that it can be tailored.
Yeah. And also, if you want to go to a studio and you want to use the equipment and have that face to face instruction, you can do that. Or you can simply roll out a mat or just lay out a towel on the floor and do exercises at home in your pajamas if you want to at any time of day. So there is those different levels, of different types of equipment, different lengths of duration for your workouts as well. So it really can be accessible for everybody.
And one thing that I like going to the studio. I find that showing up makes me accountable. I find it a little more challenging to force myself to do it if I'm at home. But what I do know and understand is that having the option to do it at home means, if you're not able to kind of leave the house, if transportation is a bit tough, or if the weather's really bad, I live in Australia now, but I'm Canadian, and so, if there's a snowstorm and things like this, or you can't get out for a few days, then it's kind of tough to exercise. So having that option to do it at home, and also for people who are maybe a little bit self-conscious at first and need to build up a little bit of confidence within the activity that they're doing at first. And so does that mean that you offer some online classes or instruction?
Yes, as you were sort of saying, sometimes whether or not it's a time thing, or a money, maybe you don't have enough money to go to an in person class because they can be expensive, then definitely having that option at home is fantastic. And so, yes, I have a platform. It's called Mind Movement Health. So my members can log in at the minute. I think we've got about 120 workouts in there, and they're all tailored. So I've got lower back pain workouts, SIJ pain, right through to more advanced exercises, balance, bone strength. So lots of different workouts, different lengths, and really just using small pieces of equipment or no equipment at all. So things like hand weights or a band, or if you don't have hand weights, you can fill up some water bottles and things. So really just trying to make it accessible for people that want to work out at home for whatever reason. And even if you aren't going to a weekly class, it's like anything. You can go once a week, you're going to get some benefit, but it's the extra practice that you do in between that's going to build that strength or mobility so much quicker. And people often think, how could, 15 minutes a week, twice a week at home make a difference? It reinforces what you've been building on. So it really does. It adds up over time. Even if it's for 5 or 10 minutes, maybe you're having a stressful day, maybe you're feeling a bit of neck or back tension, and just doing a few minutes of exercises can make a big difference to your body and your mind too.
And I like that you mentioned about the equipment. Sometimes you think, okay, well, if I'm not going to go to the gym, I need to have all that equipment at home. But it's great that you're offering the options to do Pilates with little to no equipment. And sometimes using body weight is all we can do or all we need.
Well, using your body weight can be really challenging. If anybody's, held a plank or a side plank or coming up into a V sit, you can work really hard just with your own body weight. I think we like the idea of equipment, it seems more exciting. But some of the hardest exercises is when you don't have any help or any resistance. It's just you on that mat trying to, build your own strength just one step at a time.
Yeah, I'd almost challenge anyone now to go and try and hold a plank for a minute. It's really not an easy task.
The Guinness World Records for a woman holding a plank just happened last week, and she held it for more than 4 hours.
Which, forget about the body strength, which you obviously need, but the mental strength that you need to stay there in that position and get through it. I mean, I kinda wonder 'cause I have heard about this recently as well, and I think, is she making to-do lists? Is she meditating and completely zoning out? Where's her mind going during that? It's an all-encompassing challenge.
100%. Often thought it'd be much easier to hold if you had music. Or another client of mine said, maybe they propped up a TV in front of her and she could watch her favorite show. But I'm sure it was just her having to work through in her own brain, just that mental toughness, as you said, is equal to, or if not more than the physical, physicality required to hold that plank for that period of time.
No, absolutely. And Kate, I'd love for you to touch a little bit more on the 15 minutes at a time that we're using to get our health back. So I know you mentioned that a couple times a week for maybe a few minutes or 10 minutes, but I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more on what does it mean to take back our health just 15 minutes at a time?
Well, I think nowadays, so many of us are so busy, whether or not you're working full time, or you've got kids, or you've got parents that you're looking after, whatever it is, there are so many things pulling on our time that we often just go, I don't have the time to move my body, or I don't have the time to, cook a meal from scratch. I don't have time to go to bed a bit earlier. I need to get things done. So I think if we look at our health in just these small sort of bite-sized chunks, 15 minutes, we can all find 15 minutes. And if you're struggling to find 15 minutes, start with 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And whether or not that's, a quick walk around the block, rolling out your mat and doing a few stretches on the ground, buying some fruit and veg and prepping some carrot and celery sticks for some afternoon snack. There are just things that we can do, very small things that will add up over time and change our health. So it's really trying to bring that awareness that you can do it, that it doesn't need to feel like it's out of control and that it's all too hard and you sort of put it in that too hard basket. Just pick one thing, focus on that, nice and small, do that for a period of time. And once that becomes more of a habit, then we can pick something else. And generally, when it's people like, oh, well, what do I start with? Just pick the lowest hanging fruit, essentially. If you know that you don't drink enough water and that you're getting to the end of the day and you're quite tired or your skin's feeling really dry, start drinking a little bit more water every day. count up those glasses, put a drink bottle next to your desk. So it's really about trying to make health as easy as it can be so we don't feel overwhelmed by it.
And if we go back to this idea of kind of mind over matter, and we're looking for 15 minutes, at the end of the day, when I get home and I'm really tired, it's been a long day, I just want to sit on the couch and I'm scrolling or I've got Netflix on. I don't find, while that feels good in that moment, I don't find that that's giving me the real rest that I need. And it's not supporting my body, my physical body, my mental health. And so even though it's tough and it's again a matter of mind over matter, getting up and rolling out the mat. And while I'm not doing Pilates myself at home, I do stretches or I'll do some yoga. And I find that even though it's a challenge to start that because I'm feeling pretty tired, by the end of the week, once I've made that a habit, I do have a little bit more energy. I can stretch my day a little bit more, and that doesn't mean I'm working longer, but it means that I get to enjoy the end of the day a little bit more. So maybe it's just looking at where are you spending your free time?
Exactly. And, there are trackers on your phone now that will show you how much time you spend on your phone. And I think for the majority of us, we really underestimate how much time we're spending either on the phone, the iPad, or even the computer. So tracking that time can be great. Or even if you catch yourself before you pick up that phone and just pop that back down and think, okay, what else could I be doing that would really benefit me right now? Whether or not that's, reading a book instead or having a cup of herbal tea or calling a friend and having that connection with someone, really trying to pick those habits that are going to, change the needle on your health. One of my clients, which I love, which she started doing, she said she works a long day. So rather than when she comes going inside the house, because she knows as soon as she does, she'll sit on the couch and put the TV on, she parks the car, she gets out, she walks around the block and then she will go inside the house. And she said that's just a great way, she's already outside, the barrier to move is already less. She doesn't have to go in and get changed and sit down and get back up. She's like, I'm already there. I just do it. And it's finding those very small ways that would just help encourage us to make those small changes.
I really like that she's taken that up because once you do walk in that front door after a work day, it is almost impossible to leave again. I'm sure many will agree with us there.
You've got kids pulling on you or your partner, asking questions or trying to tell you about their day. And you might have the best of intentions to be like, okay, I'll go in, I'll cook dinner, I'll go for a walk after dinner. But once you eat food and your body starts digesting those carbs, it sends those signals to rest now. You get that sort of post carb feeling of, oh, that's great, but now I feel tired. And then you're going to be less inclined to go back out.
The couch looks very inviting in those moments. I'd love it, Kate, if you'd share with us some of the benefits of Pilates.
Sure. So there are lots of benefits besides the obvious, connecting to your core and really strengthening your core. Another one is connecting to your breath. So often than not, we are doing lots of shallow breathing high up in our chest. We get quite tight through our scaling muscles, through our neck. Lots of people suffer from jaw pain. So in Pilates, we start to focus on our breathing, really taking nice deep inhales, going back to that nasal breathing, connecting to our abdominals, and really utilizing that breath to be present in the moment. There's also been scientific studies that show if we breathe or use our exhale whilst we're contracting our abdominals, we actually get a stronger contraction. So we're going to get a stronger workout as such, or more benefit from our workouts if we're utilizing our breath. So that's a really big benefit. And then also proprioception wise, just feeling connected to your body, knowing there's often been times where, somebody might say, oh, I'm just so sore. And you say, oh, where? And they're like, I don't know, like kind of in my back, round near my hip, like they can't pinpoint that pain. And doing Pilates helps you to just really connect to the muscles in your body, connect to the different places in your body, and become more body aware just in your everyday movements. So, whether or not it's bending down to pick something up off the floor and knowing, oh, I need to bend my knees more, watch my knees, they're coming together, or I'm really hinging from my back, just those everyday movements start to get benefit from having that body awareness as well.
We mentioned that you're a nutritionist as well. So, are you noticing that there's a correlation between people starting Pilates and then wanting to improve their nutrition and taking that up as well, or even vice versa?
Yeah, I get quite a lot of crossover with clients. So even just yesterday, a client has been off because she had her thyroid removed. So she's now come back to start some gentle movement with classes. And she said to me, I really need to book in now for a nutrition consult with my thyroid removed. I've put on some weight and I need to get things back on track. So like every area of our health, it's all interconnected, whether or not it's, movement with nutrition, with sleep, with stress. And so often, even in Pilates, our conversations will revolve around, somebody may come in and say, "Oh, I'm feeling a little bit bloated today, just something to be aware of in class." I'm like, great. So we won't do any, super hard abdominal work because that would be, very uncomfortable. But then, I'll often just speak to them throughout the class and say, I've got a lot of stress on at the minute, or has there been a food trigger? And so we kind of have those cross conversations between movement and nutrition flow into class as well.
Yeah, it's almost like a domino effect, once you improve in one aspect of your life, you see all the benefits and you think, "Okay, what's my next step?" And it's not an overnight process. It's a lifelong journey.
That's it. It's just one step at a time. But like you said, once you see the benefit, if you start moving and then you see the benefit from that and you feel, how good you feel from changing that, you then go, okay, well, what area of my life could I just make some small changes in, which may sort of compound these effects?
Kate, for everyone who's listening, I'd love to remind them where your studio is and also anyone who isn't in Melbourne, how they can access all your information online.
Sure. So I'm located in Berwick, which is in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne, and my Pilates studio is called Mind and Movement Pilates. Online, you can check me out at Mind Movement Health. So my website is mindmovementhealth.com.au. And on there, I've got the membership, and then they can also check me out on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at Mind Movement Health as well.
Awesome. And I'm going to share those links in the description of this episode. So it's only a click away for all of you people who are listening and thinking, okay, I'm one of those people who is getting in the door and finding it hard to get the motivation to get back out in the evenings or on the weekends, whatever it may be. Check out some of Kate's 15-minute online workouts. Start there and certainly reach out. If you have questions, you're not sure where to start or if it's for you, reach out and ask Kate those questions. Kate, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate the work that you're doing and for sharing it with us.
No problems. Thanks so much for having me on and for allowing me to chat about Pilates and health with your audience.
Thanks for joining me on the Holistic Health Show and trusting me to guide you towards proactive healthcare. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform and get ready to embark on an incredible journey toward holistic wellness. Until next time, be well and stay holistic.